Broadcasting live from the Business RadioX studios in South Florida, it's time for South Florida Business Radio. Now, here's your host.
Lee Cantor here, another episode of South Florida Business Radio, and this is going to be a good one. But before we get started, it's important to recognize our sponsor, Diaz Trade Law, your customs expert. Today on South Florida Business Radio, we have Paolo Bilotta with Curava. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on the air.
Well, I'm excited. I'm excited to learn about Curava recycled glass surfaces. How are you serving folks?
I'm sorry, how are we? We're serving folks. Basically, what we do is we're a manufacturer and distributor of a particular type of surfacing product that's primarily used for countertops, any horizontal surfaces. And it's basically, the product consists of a mix of a quartz and polyester resin, and the majority of the content is actually recycled glass, which we source from landfills. We source from post-industrial sources that make shower glass. We basically reincorporate into the cycle, the system, waste that we sterilize ourselves. We sort through color, through sizes, and we create very interesting and beautiful surfaces that have a very, very unique look. So we're kind of a niche market within the surfacing industry, but we've been doing this now for 12 years, and pretty much on a national level. Even though our main market is actually, our best market is actually here in Florida, believe it or not. But we're present mostly along the East Coast and a couple of areas on the West Coast and around the LA area, and up in the Denver area as well, in Colorado. But this seems to be our best market. Our product actually is very contemporary. So Florida has very contemporary trends as far as kitchen cabinets and renovation. So it does very well, especially along the coast. So
how did you get into this line of work? Were you always involved in this?
I was always involved in the stone industry since right out of college, and it's a family-owned business. But before this, we were actually it's my brother and myself. We were actually mostly into natural stone, and we were only doing commercial projects, and particularly cladding, veneer cladding, exterior veneers of churches, of courthouses with solid pieces of whatever stone the architect specified. But that got to be a little bit stressful, also because it's different locations around the country. Then it became different projects around the world, and it was a lot of traveling. So I basically decided to kind of branch off and create one particular product, and just base here in the U.S. and in Florida. And so it turned out to work.
So, but how did kind of recycled glass get on your radar to use as part of this?
It was just, I was just running some experiments on my downtime, like on weekends, about how to actually create a surface that is a little bit different from the average quartz surface, which I'm not sure if the listeners are familiar with, but it's an engineered stone. It's not a natural stone, but they have kind of, they mimic, it's a way to mimic natural stone through machinery, basically. It's made in factories. So I wanted to be kind of in that general field, but I wanted to create something that was very unique, and it had a very unique look. And so in just testing it out, we tested it out in cement before, just to get the look, and it really appealed to me. And then I started showing it around to a lot of renovators and kitchen and bath dealers, and it basically got really good feedback. So we started producing small batches, and it suddenly small batches became bigger batches, and now we do quite a bit of volume around the country. We also have been working with one of the big box stores, home improvement box stores, for probably about 10 years now.
Now
so that's helped to make awareness, to create awareness for the product.
Are you the only firm that does it with recycled glass like this, or is that becoming now more popular for other manufacturers?
No, we're not the only firm. We've never been the only firm, but we were the first firm to make it with a certain type of binder, which is incredibly resistant. But there were just a handful, maybe 10 years ago. Now, actually, there are fewer, believe it or not, because some of them haven't made it, and we kind of grew, and we filled that spot. So I think there are very local. There not as many. There's very few, maybe national providers of this product, but there's probably more very localized shops that make this probably custom made for any particular project or need in the kitchen. But as far as the actual number has gone down as far as nationally available companies.
Is it
which is interesting?
Is it difficult to get the recycled glass? I mean, is that something, because that adds a new element to this, right?
Yeah. Well, the easy part is that there's never a shortage.
There's a lot of recycled glass out there, just getting it right.
There's a lot of glass that is in landfills, or they're in factories, and they're just sitting there, and they're basically waste. Obviously, it's not toxic. Thank goodness, it's not something that it's something that can be reused as many times as possible. Glass can be melted and reused for other purposes, or it can be just incorporated in this. But so it's to answer your question, no, it's not easy. The part that's a little bit tricky is obviously the sterilization and the crushing and the filtering, which is, we do that. And it's basically every slab of ours has exactly the same formula as far as different grains and different sizes of glass per color, so that every batch is exactly uniform, which is a big plus. So every slab, every color of ours looks basically the same, whether we produce it yesterday or 2 years ago, because it's exactly the same. We control the glass sizes and the glass colors to the dot, and they get electronically dosed for every slab. So
now,
to answer your question, that the actual quantity that's available to recycle is almost infinite.
Now, is it if I'm using this on my countertop, is this something that is going to is it going to stay in the way that it's looking, or does it stain easy? Does it chip? Is the surface difficult to maintain?
No, not at all. Actually, it's very similar to any non-porous surface, like an engineered stone, like a quartz. Mainly because we use a binder that is non-porous. It's a polyester resin. The binder is basically, it's what keeps everything together, and it's a very small portion of the slab, but it's the most important part, because the quality of the binder determines how durable the surface is, and we use an extremely high quality binder, and so nothing will stain it. Chipping, not really, no. Unless obviously, you do outrageous things like put a refrigerator on your countertop, and maybe you may get a little chip. But no, for the most part, we don't have any of those issues.
Now, in terms of sustainable products, I would imagine that this is attracting a certain customer, that this is super important. Have you found that to be so?
Yes, it's actually been interesting, because early on, when we started, believe it or not, the people that were most attracted to our product were actually attracted by the look of it. And secondary, was the sustainability of it. But over the years, it's kind of reversed. I mean, I'm assuming they still like the look because it's an essential part, but they're more and more, I found more and more attracted to the fact that we're removing waste, we're making it usable, and we're making it to create something that's aesthetically pleasing as well. And that's been interesting. I thought that the sustainability factor would have been, 99% of the decision of the buyers, but it wasn't initially. It's becoming more and more important now, especially on commercial projects.
And especially, obviously it looks so good, that being sustainable is like the cherry on top, right? Like it's sometimes, sometimes with sustainable products, you're like, oh, well, at least it's sustainable. Like in this, the product looks fantastic and it's sustainable. Like you're getting the best of both worlds.
Correct. Yeah. But the funny thing is that, the trend is that, oh, wow, the product is sustainable and it looks fantastic. So I think the emphasis is shifting a little bit more towards the sustainability part, which is actually what we really wanted, because that's basically what we're trying to push, right?
Now, how was it at the beginning when you were trying to find the recycled glass? Was it something, because you're taking other people's waste and then putting it into your product as kind of the featured element? Was this something that companies were like, yeah, take as much as you want? Like they were like happy to get rid of it and happy to use you as a resource to help them get rid of it? For some, it's a great question, actually. And for some, it really depends on the color of the glass. For clear glass, for example, there's such a big market. A lot of the clear glass we use is post-industrial for factories that make shower glass enclosures or et cetera. And in those cases, actually, there's a big market for remelting it and creating new plate glass. So in those cases, we actually have to auction it. We have to buy it. For certain other colors, it's like you're saying, they're like, please, can you take this glass because we have way too many. Like, for example, there's way too many beer bottles in landfills. There's wine bottles, beer bottles, and other post-industrial products for deodorants and things like that. So it depends mostly on the color, but so it's a bit of a mix, yeah. Now, how has the kind of the small business community been for you? I guess you're in South Florida now, but you said, in the Northeast. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah, we started up near Boston in New Hampshire.
And then, can you share maybe the difference between the small business community in each locale? Well, Florida is definitely more vibrant. I mean, even compared to Massachusetts. I mean, we were in New Hampshire, which is a lot less vibrant than here. But Florida, there's way more small businesses. And so most of our transactions and our sales are to small business owners that actually cut up our material and install it for the final customer. And it's actually been the feeling you get is that it's so alive. And now, and it's just becoming more and more alive, because we all know what's happening to the Florida population. It's increasing so fast. It's just there's always more and more going on, and there's small businesses popping up left and right that are related to our industry. So it feels more lively, and it's definitely a happening market, and it's feeling like it's going that direction faster and faster, which is great. Because the more it goes in that direction, the more we can sell, the more glass we remove from landfills. Right. It's kind of one of those righteous circles. Like at every stage, you're winning. People are winning at every stage. That's fantastic. Yeah. So it's been, honestly, Florida, here 10 years in Florida, and it's been South Florida, and it's been, I love it. I love working here, and I really like
And then the interesting thing is, it's because it's a big state. Every area of Florida kind of has its own market and its own type of small business, and they're all good. I mean, I've had very few bad experiences, and I hope very few people have had bad experiences with us. So now it's been very good.
So primarily you sell to people who install it in consumers' hands, or can consumers get it right from you? Or consumers can't get it from you, they have to go through...
No, consumers would get it from fabrication shops, they're called, which are basically the companies that have the equipment to cut down our slabs, which are pretty big, and cut them down into a kitchen, do all the edging, and then they'll also install it in the homeowners. So no, we don't sell directly to consumers.
Now, any advice for business people out there that are in the business of selling to kind of middlemen, that they sell a product that a consumer is going to use, but it's going to go through a middleman? Is there anything you've learned over the years that helps kind of identify the good ones and how to, create win-win partnerships with kind of, in your case, fabricators?
Yeah, I think there's one main piece of advice is that the middle entity, whether it's a business or an individual that handles their product and resells it, properly educates the final consumer about the product, about the characteristics. That's essential, because the more that they just describe in detail what they're getting to the final consumer, the more streamlined the process is. The expectations also of delivery, the time frame of the installation. I think it's key, because when people in the middle promise things that are not realistic, sometimes it fires back at the people it hurts the consumer, and then it fires back at the people that are making the product that were never really endorsed the expectations of timing that the middle people promised their own customers. So I think it's an essential part, just the openness and the education to the final consumer about what they're getting, when they're getting. And sometimes that doesn't happen, but that's who you know that it's someone you can work with in the future or not.
Now, that seems to be one of those things when you are getting in business with, in your case, fabricators, because they're kind of, you want to protect your brand, right? And then you're trusting them to, like you said, communicate the truth and, what's realistic, and manage the expectations of the end consumer. To really have those lines of communication open seems like it could get tricky. Do you have some can you share a story on how you were able to maybe build the relationships, trust in a way that the fabricator was kind of protecting your brand and telling the truth and helping educate the consumer in the way that it would be as if you were doing that?
Yeah, well, I think the best, I'm not sure. I mean, with a particular fabricator,
don't name any names,
stories, but
right.
No. I'm just thinking of if I could think of a specific instance. But sometimes it's to have our salespeople travel with the salespeople of the fabricator, or actually being present initially on the first few jobs
so you do so that customer. So your people are coming kind of along for the ride initially to help kind of that handoff be as smooth as possible, so there are less miscommunications and there are kind of clear understandings of the...
Correct.
Yeah,
correct. But I think the main tool that we've learned to use is on our website, all of the information is available for everyone, for the fabricator, for the homeowner. So it's all there, and we encourage everyone to see it, what our product is made of, the use and care, the warranty, basically anything that's relevant. It's very important, I think, for a small business to put everything out there so that there's no way that people can misinterpret anything or can not understand what the product looks like, what the product feels like, how it performs. And that's been very, very helpful. So if there's any issues in general, we've been very, very proactive in dealing then with the final customer if there's any issue at all. Because we care about our name, correct? So from that moment on, if there's any, we just take over and we work with the final customer in educating them and assisting them. So many times it's just easier.
Now, you mentioned that fabricators are an important part of your growth. What is a fabricator who isn't aware of your brand right now? Why should they be? What is something, how would you pitch a fabricator that maybe isn't carrying your brand right now?
Well, simply because it's a niche market of a much larger product line. And however, this niche is growing fast, and people are now becoming more and more aware in general about anything that's sustainable. I mean, we've seen that with Tesla. I mean, now today compared to 5 years ago, you see, I don't know how many times more Teslas on the road. So it's just a trend that's happening. And it's something basically fabricators need to be convinced that this niche will become constantly bigger. And it's also a product where it's considered not specialty, but again, a niche one. So they can also do well installing it, both financially and just ethically. And so it's something that is a little bit of I would say a medium-high priced final product, not too expensive, but it's medium-high, and it's something that the fabricator can do well on.
Well, if somebody wants to learn more and get a hold of you or somebody on your team, what is the website?
The website is our name, so it's Curava, CURAVA.com.
Well, thank you.
You'll see all the colors. You'll see how it's made, and you will see everything you need to know.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your story today. You're doing important work, and we appreciate you.
No, thank you for having me.
All right, this is Lee Cantor. We'll see you all next time on South Florida Business Radio.